Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Morawski, and you're watching the first episode of my new Director's Commentary series. This one on the abandoned, creepy, and charming near Northern Ontario. So, in this series, I've just kind of planned on just going through some of my old videos from over the years and just talking. No script or anything like that. I have a few notes here and there, but overall, just kind of giving my raw thoughts on each one of the videos and the experiences I had while filming them. So, this was a video I filmed last summer, as in the summer of 2025. So, not that long ago at the time of this recording. We're gonna go into some videos where it's gonna be a little bit further back and I'm gonna have to retrace my steps a little bit harder, but this one I do remember things pretty well. The first part of this video, we were driving along Highway 11, kind of in the Muskoka area, and that's where you'll see this first abandoned building, which was this burger place. Now, this was likely here a very long time ago, probably before they merged the highway. Now, I gotta say, I wasn't able to find too much information on this building, but I gotta say, I really love how it looks. I love the sign. I love how retro it looked. I imagine back in the day, this was probably a nice place to stop at. And again, the highway probably wasn't as big. I love the signs there. They had their the beware of dog and the surveillance ones. Like, I don't think anybody goes there and touches it up, but I might be wrong. Anyway, the next place we're going to that you're going to see is called the Muskoka store. Now, they did move locations. They just moved to a smaller one, so the store isn't gone. It's just in a different place nearby. But this is the original building, and it opened in 1979, and it closed very recently, only 2024. And in 2025, I think in March 2025, so not actually that long before I recorded this, the roof collapsed. So you can't see it obviously here because I wasn't flying over with the drone or anything. But yeah, this place has definitely seen better days. I wasn't able to get inside, but if you look at the windows, you can see it's just really cluttered, and they left a bunch of stuff there. Not really sure what they're going to do with this building now. I know it says it's for sale, but if the roof is totally caved in, like it said, I don't know who wants to come in and repair that. But it's not a bad location, right alongside the highway. I think the main reason they left was because the building was just falling into disrepair and they just didn't really want to spend the money to upkeep it. And for that, I don't think I can totally blame them. But yeah, I'm sure this was a very, nostalgic store for a lot of people. But again, they exist, just not in this building anymore. And if there's one thing abandoned buildings are good for, it's advertising. I've actually seen a lot of buildings that they will just plaster on big advertisements. And it makes sense, you might as well do something with it. Although it does make it slightly, harder for people like me to film, but I get it. You can see also before, it just rained earlier. Luckily, when I was filming, it wasn't raining at all, but yeah, and that's going to wrap up Highway 11. We're going to move on to the next location, which was this very small little town called Sundridge. Now, when I say small town, I mean there's like two main roads, and that's pretty much it. It was kind of a town where everyone knew everyone. Like, we'd go for dinner or breakfast, because we did stay there a few nights, but you would go there and they would all talk to each other because they'd all know each other. That small. I think the population's about 900 people, so yeah, not very big, but it's actually pretty. It was actually a pretty nice little town. This little location right here, you're seeing a bit outside of town. You have to kind of drive down some dirt roads, but it gives a nice view of the lake. Now over here, you're gonna see the hotel that we stayed in, and when you're in the town this small, you don't really have many options. So this is where we kind of had to stay, although we were staying a little bit more right by the lake. It was like literally a view of the lake, so that was nice. And I remember walking here, just kind of filming, the small little town. And I remember a couple kids went up to me. I think they were like 12 years old maybe. And because I had my camera with me, right? And I'm sure, they're not really used to seeing someone walk around their town with a camera like that. So they're asking me what I was doing, or like, am I a photographer? And I said, yeah, well, close. I make videos. And they're like, oh, for what? And I said, well, for YouTube. And then they were kind of curious, and they wanted to see the YouTube channel, and I showed them and all. So friendly people. They were very welcoming that way. Also, when you're staying in a town like Sunridge, there's not really many places to eat. So the only restaurant there was this wing house, but it was good. I would recommend. There's over 150 flavors of wings. So if you get bored, there's a lot of options for you. But anyway, I think you're going to see this butterfly right here. Probably didn't fly again. Poor guy. But it was a very nice night. Maybe not for that butterfly, but it was a very nice night, for people walking around. It was not too chilly, not too hot. It was basically the perfect summer evening. Now, when I went up to fly the drone, I wanted to make sure to do it pretty quickly, just because I'm certain these people are not used to seeing drones in this area, and reasonably so. But nobody noticed, so I did it a few minutes and I was done. And you'll see it right here in this shot. You see that road right there? That and one other road, that is basically Sunridge for you. That is the town. It is very small. That being said, the next places we're going to be moving on to are really not much bigger. Maybe only by 100 people, population-wise. And the next place is going to be Burk's Falls. So Burk's Falls has a population of about 1,000 people. So like I said, literally about 100 more than Sunridge. It's also very small, although when you go there, it doesn't feel quite as small because, yeah, there's one main road, but it does branch out a little bit more. There's more hills. I don't know. It didn't feel as small to me, but apparently it is. But anyways, it was a pretty nice town, and you'll see right there this little sculpture. And if you saw the original video, you would know there's definitely a lot more coming up. It's a little bit of a hint at a later part of this video. But I'm going to get to that when I get to that. Let's just talk about Burk's Falls for now. We didn't end up staying in the town very long, so I wouldn't be able to give you a really detailed debrief of it. But from what I saw, it was pretty nice. We ended up going to an antique shop, and I didn't film in there or anything like that, but they had all kinds of interesting items, including a lot of sports memorabilia and autographed cards, and I love stuff like that, so I ended up getting one. Also, if you're in Burk's Falls, for whatever reason, there is this food truck called Curb Your Appetite, and they sell, all kinds of kind of fast food type of items, but the pierogies, I think is what they're known for, so would definitely recommend those if you happen to be in Burk's Falls for whatever reason. You'll notice one of the key elements of this town is this river running right through it, and there's this little trail on the side of it, so that's where I was walking, and it's actually a pretty nice little trail. Unfortunately, the mosquitoes also enjoyed it, although they seem to enjoy pretty much everywhere I go, but yeah, they were pretty bad this day, which is really annoying, especially when you're filming, because if you're just trying to hold the camera and keep it stable, and you have mosquitoes, you can actually feel them on your arms, on your legs. It sucks, and you want to get the shot quickly, but at the same time, you don't want to ruin the shot. So yeah, it made it pretty tricky, and that's something you don't see, obviously in the video. That looks like some old abandoned bowling alley. I wasn't able to go there, but I'd like to see that place again if I'm ever back. Okay, so now we're about wrapping up from Burk's Falls, and the next location, let's face it, it's probably the most interesting that I made in this video. It's called the Screaming Heads of Midlothian. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. You can see these Polaroids here of it. It was a really interesting place. and I'll explain it a little bit to you because I have the chance to now. So this place is just outside Burk's Falls. Although when I say just outside, I mean like it's really in the middle of nowhere. We went on the GPS to go and find it, which is already a bit dodgy when you're like in the middle of nowhere. It overshot us like miles. We at some random farm. We had to backtrack. Anyway, we found it. It's an attraction open to the public. You don't have to trespass or anything like that. You just go in if the gate's opened, and you see beyond this spider web door. That's where the artist and sculptor lives, and his name is Peter Kamani. Now he's a retired high school art and science teacher, and he has been working on this whole project for a pretty long time, since 1995. That's when he started, and a lot of people interpret it's something about environmentalism. I think that's a valid interpretation. I'm not going to talk about my interpretation. I'm just going to talk about what I saw and what it was. And it's a pretty eerie place, and I don't think that many people know about it, which is kind of surprising because it's so interesting. I mean, up again, beyond that barn, that's where the guy lives. So he lives on this property. I don't know if he's there all the time, but again, he built all of this. So yeah, since 1995, he has made tons of these. There's now over 100 screaming heads at this site, and you will also see there are more than just screaming heads. There are these huge structures that they say like no climbing. They almost look like jungle gyms, but they're not. Obviously, you can't climb on them. And yeah, it's an ever-growing project. He still works on it too, so just keep that in mind. It's still growing, which is incredible because the property is huge. And I'll tell you, not all of these are easy to find. You kind of have to work to find some of them. Some of them are kind of hidden away behind trees, like in wooded areas. There were some there the grass was a little bit too long, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not like gonna get a tick for this, but I saw as much as I could, and it was really nice. Only downside, it's no one's fault, but bugs, really bad in this area, really bad. So if you're going to go, make sure you bring bug spray. Most important thing, bring bug spray, and you'll probably enjoy it a little bit more. That being said, it was a very interesting location, and I would definitely recommend. I love that crow that just happened to fly on that head as I was filming. So he does cut the grass. Like, there's a lot of grass to cut. He does keep it up, so you can walk around. I would love to see this place in the winter, or even in the fall, or even at night. I don't think you can go at night, although he might do something like that, but you can imagine how creepy this place would be, in different seasons or a different time of day. It's already a little bit eerie, right? On a sunny summer's day. So I can't imagine it then, but yeah, this was an interesting experience. I would highly recommend. This area right here was almost like a Stonehenge, but of screaming faces. They were basically in a circle. I loved the shadows they cast too, because of the sun. That was a big benefit of the sun being out. Now, as we reach the conclusion of this video, I added on another short little video I did, and I'm just gonna keep talking through that, just because it was another small town in that area, and that town was called South River, which I think was actually the smallest town you will see in this entire video. That town was tiny. I wasn't in there very long though, so that's why it's a pretty short video. So I have one little story from it though. So you'll see in a bit. I was filming this one building, and I didn't really know what it was, but I was filming it, and then this elderly lady, she came up to me, and again, because like I said earlier with the kids that came up to me in Sunridge, because I had the camera, right? Kind of the same thing. She probably wasn't really used to seeing a camera in this area, so she was kind of interested in what I was doing. She asked Like, what do you, like in a friendly way, like, what are you taking pictures of? And I said, I take pictures of a lot of abandoned buildings and things like that. And then she told me that the building I was filming was actually one she used to work at. I don't know how long ago, but a decently long time ago, she used to work there. I think it was some sort of clothing store, and it shut down, and then she was pretty sad that it shut down. So I basically had this whole conversation. I do regret not asking her, to talk about it on camera. But I think in the moment I was just kind of invested listening to her that I didn't even think of it. But yeah, if I were to do it again, I certainly would like to get her on camera. This is the building right here. So I didn't know what this building was, but then the lady went up to me and she was being very generous with her time and, told me all about it. So much respect to her. But yeah, I really wish I asked her to be on camera. I don't totally know if she would have accepted that, which fair enough. But it would have been good to ask. So, next time locals come up to me, I'll have to ask them to be on camera. So we're going to reach near the end of this video. The last building you will see, I'm not totally sure what it was. Again, I was in this town very briefly. I'm sure there's probably more abandoned buildings around. If I had more time, I'm sure I would have, been able to find something. But this is just a little micro video, and I want to tack it on to this, to the first one in this video because they're really in the same area, so you might as well. But anyway, so we are reaching the end of this video, and I just want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Definitely, I'd like to make some more director's commentaries of my other stuff. I already have a few ideas floating around of what videos I could do. Specifically ones that, I could have a lot to say. So look forward to those. Keep an eye out. But as for now, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.